The demon within. The small town of Ravenswood had always been quiet and peaceful. But one day, a strange darkness descended upon it. People started to act strangely, as if they were possessed by some unseen force. It started with small things, like odd behavior and strange whispers. But it wasn't long before things took a sinister turn. People started to disappear, and those who remained were consumed by fear. The townspeople knew that something was not right, and they began to search for answers. It wasn't until they discovered an old book in the town library that they realized the truth. The book contained ancient texts that spoke of a demon that had been trapped within the town for centuries. According to the legend, the demon had been imprisoned in the body of a young girl, and had been trapped within the town's borders ever since. But now, the demon had found a way to escape its prison, and was possessing the bodies of the townspeople. The townspeople knew that they had to act fast, before the demon consumed them all. They began a search for the girl's body, hoping to put the demon back in its prison. But the task was easier said than done. The demon within had already taken control of most of the town, and it was hard to know who could be trusted. Those who showed any signs of resistance were quickly possessed by the demon, and turned against their own kind. As the days went by, the demon's power grew stronger. It was only a matter of time before it consumed the entire town. But then, a small group of townspeople discovered the girl's body, hidden in a secret chamber deep beneath the town's church. The group knew what had to be done, and they performed an ancient ritual to imprison the demon once again. But it wasn't without cost. The group had to sacrifice one of their own to complete the ritual, and the demon's screams could be heard throughout the town. The demon was imprisoned once again, and the town slowly returned to normal. But the townspeople would never forget the terror that they had experienced, for they knew that the demon was still there, waiting for its next opportunity to escape its prison and consume their souls. The Ghost Ship. The crew of the fishing boat had heard the rumors about the ghost ship that haunted the waters off the coast of Maine. But they had never believed them, until they saw it with their own eyes. It was a foggy night, and the crew had just cast their nets when they saw the ship approaching. At first, they thought it was just another vessel, but as it got closer, they realized that there was something strange about it. The ship was old and dilapidated, with tattered sails and rotting wood. But the most eerie thing was that there was no one on board. The ship sailed silently past them, as if it was being controlled by an unseen force. The crew was terrified, and they decided to turn back to port. But as they tried to steer their boat away from the ghost ship, they found that they couldn't escape it. The ship seemed to follow them, no matter which way they turned. As the night wore on, the crew became more and more desperate. They tried everything to lose the ghost ship, but it was no use. It was as if they were trapped in a nightmare with no escape. And then they heard the laughter. It was a chilling, mocking sound that seemed to come from all around them. The crew knew that they were no longer alone on the water. They were being haunted by the ghosts of the long-dead sailors who had once manned the ghost ship. The crew tried to fend off the ghosts with everything they had, but it was no use. The ghosts were too powerful, and they slowly began to take control of the fishing boat. One by one, the crew members were possessed by the ghosts, until there was no one left. The ghost ship sailed on, its haunting laughter echoing across the water. And the fishing boat, now possessed by the ghosts, followed it into the darkness. They were never seen or heard from again. The legend of the ghost ship lived on, and sailors would tell stories of the cursed vessel that haunted the waters off the coast of Maine. But no one ever knew what had truly happened to the crew that had fallen victim to its malevolent power. The Lonely Road. It was a dark and stormy night when John found himself driving down a lonely road in the middle of nowhere. He had taken a shortcut to get home, but now he regretted it. The road was winding and treacherous, and John's car seemed to struggle to keep up with the sharp turns. The rain was coming down in sheets, making it hard to see anything in front of him. But then, something strange happened. The rain suddenly stopped, and the wind died down. John looked around, confused, and realized that he was no longer on the road he had been driving on just a moment ago. He was on a different road, one that he had never seen before. The road was narrow and winding, and it seemed to stretch on forever. John tried to turn his car around, but he found that he couldn't. It was as if the road had a mind of its own. As John drove on, he began to see strange things on the side of the road. Shadows moved in the darkness, and he heard whispers that seemed to come from all around him. He was scared, but he knew that he had to keep driving. He had to find a way out of this place. But as he drove on, the road seemed to grow narrower and narrower. John's car was now barely able to fit on the road, and he had to drive carefully to avoid going off the edge. And then he saw it. A figure standing in the middle of the road, blocking his way. It was a woman, dressed in white, with long dark hair that flowed down her back. She was staring at him with eyes that seemed to glow in the darkness. John slammed on the brakes, but it was too late. His car hit the woman, and he heard a sickening thud as she hit the windshield. He got out of the car, trembling with fear, and checked on the woman. But she was gone. There was no trace of her anywhere. John got back in his car and tried to start the engine, but it wouldn't turn on. He was stranded in the middle of nowhere, with no idea how to get home. And then he heard the laughter. It was a chilling, mocking sound that seemed to come from all around him. The road had claimed another victim, and John knew that he would never be able to leave this place. He was doomed to wander the lonely road forever, haunted by the woman in white and the ghosts that lurked in the shadows. The end.